Social Share Club. I'm Travis, and happy Friday. We've got a wonderful lineup of some of my favorite people, as usual, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy it as much as I do. And just so much knowledge and experience and life lessons and business intelligence and just some things that will pull on your heart and hopefully open your mind as well. So with that being said, I'm going to open up with my good friend and author, Mr. Terrance Pope. What is going on, Terrance? How you doing, my man?
What's going on, brother? Everything is good. It's good. How are you feeling?
Oh man, it's another beautiful day in the neighborhood, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I'm just excited to be here with you, man, and I'm ready to rock out with you.
For sure, for sure. This is gonna be unbelievable. I'm just excited to have my audience take in some of your experience and your background. Where are you from, Terrence? Where are you currently located, man?
So I'm from Detroit, Michigan. From Detroit, Michigan. Actually, I'm living in Redford right now, but I grew up in Detroit, Michigan. I've been staying in Redford now for 3 years, so that's
Okay,
where I'm residing right now.
nice, man. So you're an author, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
and you just came out with your first book.
yes, yep. Sitting down was the tallest I ever stood from MOB to MOG. Yep.
So MOB as in mob, right?
Mob. MOB as in mob, which can be translated, it's short for mobster, which can then be translated gangster. So that's what the MOB stand for. The MOG is acronyms for man of God. So from gangster to man of God.
Nice, nice. So what does that look like for you? How did you make that transition from mob to man of God? What does that look like?
Well, I got into a gang when I was 12 years old. So a lot of people say, "Man, that's so young." But where I come from, it was the norm from where I come from. And if you wasn't in the gang, then you was considered corny or the lame or just names that people kind of make up, to identify you. So my father went to prison when I was 9 years old. Didn't really have no role model, no one to teach me what manhood was about. All I had was the guys in the neighborhood, and those guys were unfortunately in gangs. So just to feel some type of identity, feel some type of worth, I ended up getting into a gang when I was 12 years old. Fast forward by the age of 21, I was shot 7 times, four in the back and three in the leg because of the decision that I made at 12 years old and at 21 I was shot. So I always tell people, you see how those numbers kind of play with each other, the 1-2 and the 2-1, and I talk about causes and effects even in that arena. So at 21 I was shot 7 times, four in the back, three in the leg. How the transition from MOB to MOG began after I ended up in a wheelchair. I'm currently in a wheelchair right now. And after I ended up in a wheelchair, I was going through a lot of depression. I was going through a lot of suicidal thoughts. I was going through just a lot in my life at that time. I wanted to get out the gang. I wanted to get out the streets and to do something different with my life. But I was just kind of enslaved to public opinions. The words that were spoken over my life as a child: "Oh, you stupid, you dumb," being in the special education class, feeling like that I couldn't be more than what I was, right? And so I ended up being bold, giving my life to Christ and deciding to make that transition. And once I made that transition, I just never looked back. So that is from MOB to MOG. And the sitting down was the tallest I ever stood is just me doing things that in a wheelchair that I would never dare to do on my feet. So um, one second, can you? Yeah,
you've got, so just to recap, you got shot 7 times, right?
yeah,
And at the age of 21, but you started in the gang at age
12.
12.
At age 12.
Oh wow.
Age 12. Yep. So I always tell people that those numbers are significant for me because it's just a clear picture of causes and effects. 1, 2 was a gang. 2, 1, the effect of joining that gang was me being shot 7 times and confined to a wheelchair. Now,
So, and when you were 12, I mean, think about the decisions that you're making when you're 12, right? You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
mo-
yeah,
most kids are like, whether or not they want to play baseball or
yeah,
football or soccer or basketball,
yeah,
and you stepped into a different life
yeah, yeah,
altogether.
yeah. Because it was all I knew. You know, I talk about it in the book that what we are subjected to, we typically become. It become us. So that's all I watched on the media, on the TV screens in my home. The rappers, and it's all I seen in the neighborhood. It's all I seen anywhere I went. Even the kids in school were part of their own little cliques. You know, we called it cliques back then. Back then, but so it was nothing. It was nothing like new for me. It was like I said, it was like the norm. If you wasn't a part of that, then you were considered the corny kid or the lame kid, you know. And the funny thing about it, I tell people now that the lame kids are the one, as you get older and you begin to see the ones that we call lame, those are the ones who are doing better in life. Those are the ones who are better off, you know. So once you think about it, man, I laugh at it because honestly, you know, that I was, you know, I would being in a gang is, you know, lame, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So the at what point did you make that decision that you were going to, obviously, I don't think that people understand what it means to be in a gang, and
yeah,
because they don't have those types of life experiences.
yeah.
What can you tell us about, like, your mentality whenever you were mobbed up?
Oh man, the mentality is self-centered. It's a self-centered mentality. It's a prideful mentality. It's an independent mentality. I don't need nobody. You know, I can do this on my own. It's a mentality, like I said, ego. You know, so you're living a false. I call it the utopia mindset. It's a false reality. The mindset of men don't cry. You know, men take the punches. Men keep going. We don't show emotion. So that was the mentality that I was in, and that if I could be completely transparent, it's a mentality of, like I said, I'm out for myself. So that means that if you're not with me, you are against me, and that means that you're subjected to any hurt, you know, that I choose to inflict on you, or I'm going to take from you, or I am going to if you are not in alignment with my ideas or my pursuit, you know, whatever that may be, that you're considered an enemy, and it's just a whole false reality. And the funny thing is that it has no foundation. You know, it has no foundation. Nothing. It has no foundation. Being in that mindset, it's not a moral mentality, not an integrity mentality. It's not a nothing like that. It's just a false world that we're trying to create. So
That's
if that makes sense.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're what you're putting out there, and a lot of people have that mentality, whether or not they're mobbed up or they're not.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
so many times they're very close into making bad decisions that could impact them negatively. But
yeah,
but you've seemed to taken this and you know turned it into something good, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So what did that transition look like for you whenever you finally shed that skin?
I'm gonna tell you the story when I first. A lot of people think that we have to step out this whole religion mindset to where you got to pray 100 times and only for God to hear you. The funny thing is, I gave my life to God on the night where I was off 3 ecstasy pills, Xanax, and liquor while driving. Right, and while driving. So, I just kind of wanted to throw that out there just so we can step out of that whole, I have to be so perfect for God to hear me. No, God heard my cry a night that I was driving off opioids and off and liquor, and I called out to Him. So that was the beginning of it when I knew that I wanted to die, but I was afraid to kill myself, and I was just feeling like I said before, depressed. I was feeling unworthy. I was just going through a lot. You gotta think about it. I come from walking and being independent to being in the wheelchair to being vulnerable and needing people help, and then that's mixed in with the pride. So that transition was like for me, once just kind of being bold, leaving the streets. I knew one thing that I had to. We call it in the church straddling the fence. That means one foot in the streets, one foot in the church, right? So it's like you're kind of making it complex. You're not making a decision. So I knew for me that I had, if I was going to stick with this, just like I did in the streets. Once I made my decision about something, I stuck with it. And so I knew that once I was making my decision about God, that this is something that I have to stick with. So I knew first that I had to get around men. I had to get around real men. I believe that who we surround ourselves with is who we become. Secondly, I had to change my thinking. I believe it says in the Bible that do not be conformed to the ways of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So I knew that I had to renew my mind, and that was a part of being who I surrounded myself with, what I began to read, what I began to entertain, what I began to listen to. So I surrounded myself with men. I began to listen to better music. I began to read more books. Like that like I told you, I love books. So I began to read more books that was geared towards me, geared towards change. And so that's how that skin began to shed because I began to understand. I began to read the word. I began to understand who I was, my identity, and who God has called me to be. So that began to shed old ways and old patterns from off.
So hold up your book for everyone. So
Yeah, sitting down was as tall as I ever stood. From yeah, my camera a little small, so I got
yeah. We can see it just fine.
yeah.
So where can people purchase your book at, Terrence?
So you can purchase my book on all platform media book platforms like Booktopia, Amazon. But I do have my own link to my book. I don't know how that I'll be able to. I can put it in the comments, and that way
Yeah,
people will know how. Yeah,
that would be awesome. That would be awesome. I'm sure everybody would love to hear more about your story and your journey to overcoming your obstacles and
absolutely.
being able to overcome so many obstacles because from at 12 years old and being mobbed up for 9 years, you know that becomes then ingrained in you.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
lot of sharing.
yeah.
A lot of
And
sharing.
what was the journey like even writing your book?
Very, very emotional. It was an emotional journey because I had to go back and deal with some things that I kind of blocked off, that I just kind of didn't want to remember, and can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think your screen's
Okay.
froze though.
Oh man, yours was froze, so that's why I had. But let's keep going
I
because I
got
can
you.
hear you.
Here you go.
So the journey for me was very, very emotional because I had to go back and deal with some things that I have just kind of set to the side. So like the relationship with my father, being abused as a child. Remember him beating me. Remember him beating my mom. Remember me being choked out, kicked downstairs. I had to deal with being called placed in special education because they told me that I had a learning disability. I had to deal with the conversation between my mom and my principal saying that, you know what, that kid is not going to live past the age 18, uh, past the age 18, that he would die before he's 21. And I tell people this all the time that I actually did die when I was 21. I died twice that night. So the statistics was kind of right, but God, right? And so it was very, very, excuse me, it was very, very emotional for me, and just kind of dealing with those things that I have long forgotten, and to bring them things back to the forefront. And then I even began to, as I elaborated in the book a little bit more, wrote about where I am today. You know, things began to pop up about myself that I didn't know. Like, hey, I'm dealing with this, and I didn't even know it. You know, so it was very, very emotional for me. And I'm just glad that I got it out because I feel like a healing has taken place.
That's amazing. I mean, talk about being born again. You,
Yeah,
I mean, sometimes you have to die.
yeah,
And in your case, is actually
yeah,
physical, right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
something innate in us has to be killed
It has to be killed. Yep,
in order
absolutely.
for other things
To
uh,
live.
to live, right?
Yeah,
Dude,
I
that's
love it.
amazing.
I
That's
love it.
amazing. And so, not too many people, you can't really tell right now because you're on screen, but you are in a wheelchair.
I am. I have been in a wheelchair. Oh man, I lost track of time. It's been a minute. Y'all, they got to do the math. I was shot April. It's coming up, April 29th, 2011.
Wow.
Yep. So I've been in a wheelchair for a while now, about 11 years. 11
Beautiful.
years, a lot of growing, a lot of not giving up, a lot of persevering, a lot of just discipline. I even talk about it, even being in this wheelchair. I have a page in the book where I talk about eagle eye, where even though I'm sitting low, I'm able to see it higher than I have ever been able to see. Because I got a chance to slow down. I can pay attention to the sky now. I can pay attention to the chirping of the birds. I can pay attention to the train that's coming full speed and say, you know what, I'm gonna step back and not get hit by it, rather than me just moving through life, and not thinking about anything, not being conscious of anything.
That's that's amazing. And
Yeah,
when we first met, it was just I really enjoyed your mindset around all of
yeah,
this, and you know, you went from a lot of people have this "why me" mentality,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you've turned that into a "why not me,"
yeah, yeah.
right?
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
it is amazing, but we've got some other. I hope to have you on, and we can really jam out. So you had what 200 book sales just this month.
Just this month, 200, 200. I went on Ingram Sparks, and it was 120. But it's way more than that because people have ordered from other platforms. But just to I was going by the accuracy that I seen. I've sold at my book signing 100 books. So, and then 100 books from 120 books. It's way more than about 130, maybe 140, and it's still going. People are still buying. I just got a few emails this morning that two people bought a book, and then yeah, so yeah, God is on the move.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised
Yeah,
at all.
yeah, yeah. I'm excited.
But we're gonna head over to our next guest. but I want to thank you, Terrance, for
Thank
joining
you.
us. And I hope that we can have you back on and we can really dive into. We kind of got the Cliff Notes version of your story, and would
Yeah,
love to hear more. Checking in, seeing how you're doing, because I believe that you're just going to be doing some great things. So,
amen. Thank you. Thank you.
but before we get into our next guest, here is a word from our sponsor.
Invest in your company.
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for jamming with us. And my good friend Terrance Pope, check out his book, From M.O.B. to M.O.G. And I hope he is going to be joining us another time and really diving into his story. But in the meantime, we're going to transition over to my good friend Mahesh Derangula. What is going on, Mahesh? Let me get your video zoomed in here.
hmm
All right. How you doing, Mahesh?
I'm good, Travis. How are you?
Good, man. So Terrence is in Detroit. Where are you at in the world?
I am in Boston.
You are in Boston. So
Right.
tell us a little bit about you and your company. So you just started Durangla Incorporated, right?
That's right. That's right.
And your background is more Wall Street.
Yeah. So I was born in India.
Okay.
I was born in India, and I moved to States when I was 15. You know, and then I went to the school here, college, and I did my master's. So luckily, I was able to start my first job at Wall Street. But it was a Citigroup. Like I'm not like someone who's into investment banking, but always want to play sports. But coming from the background where we as I said, I was born in India. We come from like a strong culture that education is everything for us. So we didn't our parent like my parents didn't let me give any choice of playing sports. So first I didn't like when I was going for college, it was fun, but I definitely want to play or invest myself in sports. That yeah, I was able to complete my undergrad, bachelor, a bachelor's, and then master's, and I started working at Wall Street. Worked there for couple of years, then moved to as Travis, I was I lived in Pittsburgh for a little bit, Pittsburgh, Erie, Pennsylvania. That's where I went for school and stuff. So always want to move out where it had a better weather. So then I moved to California, stayed in San Diego for a couple of years. Then lived in LA for 1 year. That's when I realized all the money is in East Coast. It was fun. It was a great time. Then I came back, worked, came back to New York, learned especially I work right now in business intelligence. Uh, a business intelligence is like a stuff where we provide a lot of analysis or detail level information where a high end people can make a decision real quick. And we do use a tools like Tableau, Click, or where where someone who actually even help the small companies to even set up their database information and other stuff, right? We do if you pick anything from IT perspective, like software perspective, or something from analysis and analytics, we can do anything from A to Z. So yeah, so that's a quick overview about me. Like I'm currently in Boston, and I'm not a huge fan of Boston, but it just it just I have a family around here, and it's a closer trip to New York and New Jersey, and like that's where like most of my business is kind of works around. So yeah, and like I started a company right now. I have 5 employees who are working for me. Uh, but like most of these guys are part time, and definitely looking forward for like for more expansion, and thanks for giving this opportunity. Like I this is the sounds like a great opportunity for me to talk about myself and learn about other people, especially Terrence. That was an awesome story. It just kind
Yeah.
of shook me off for like like I was like startled listening to the story, because like see, like I come from a background, like like I said, I was born in India. We come from a background where like we don't know like what is the what are like like a gangs, or like what are the wars, stuff like that. but but it's definitely like eye opener, and always see like when I see people, or like a person like this, kind of motivates me, you know so yeah, yeah. So that's
Yeah.
a quick.
Listen to Terrence's story is very powerful. And I feel like we all have that kind of moment where you were in Wall Street, but then you decided you had to literally kill that job, right? Because you knew that you had other plans in life,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah, yeah.
a lot of the concepts are very similar across the board. It's you know come into a season, right, where you have
Mhm,
to make decisions about the
mhm,
direction that you want to take your life in. And you've built out Durangula Incorporated, and
mhm,
I just remember you calling me from India, right, and having a conversation about setting up customer service,
mhm,
back home to help support your initiatives and being
mhm.
able to build that leadership and teamwork to support
Mhm.
bigger projects.
Right, right. Exactly. Exactly. I actually, like I said, it was funny because I was not, I was like a little drunk, and like like I was drunk, and like I was hanging out with my coworkers, and this girl, like she was my coworker, like a really good friend. She's like, oh, I actually want to see like how people are like, she actually went, she's on my Instagram. Then she thought like, I thought this guy was cute, like a Travis. And then she's like, oh, like all right, you want to talk to him? Like I just what's up? He was like so happy. Like, oh my god. I just got to talk to you like a really cute like, I mean, from her perspective, like, a good looking guy, And she was like, oh, that's how I didn't even remember. Did I freaking call Travis? Like next time the like when I next morning. But yeah, it was it's definitely like that's when I didn't know that like I know like we linked up we linked up before, but like I didn't have an idea that like actually like you does like a lot of stuff, you do like a lot of other cool things, and I like I'm definitely looking forward for a lot of uh, like a work with you, like a lot of things to work with you, Travis.
A lot of collaboration over here. Just like Terrence, he and I are getting ready to kick off some training to help him
Mhm.
amplify what he does, amplify his marketing. His wife
Yeah.
is currently handling his marketing and getting her trained up on different systems
Okay.
to to then expand their footprint. Because I feel like the people that come on and the people that I meet are just have these incredible, I call them powers. Everybody has their power. It's just getting people to understand what their powers are.
Mm-hmm.
And if nobody knows about your powers, right? If nobody knows about your powers, then what good are they, right?
That's right.
And that's marketing, and that's, they talk about push versus pull. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Marketing is on the pull side, where people are wanting your products.
Mm-hmm.
It's, you're you're opening up the opportunity to fill a need in their
Mm-hmm.
life, and
Yeah.
that's a lot of business development. And you kind of take it from there. But then there's also advertising, which isn't bad either, because then it it opens up other doors for people to learn about your services when they're looking for them. So it's a wonderful it's a wonderful collaboration that I work on with many of my clients. And
Mm-hmm.
you know with your business intelligence, your business IQ background is and your experience on Wall Street, you know, you can you definitely have the power to help people move to that next level.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And
Not only
especially like,
people, but companies, right? Companies
mm-hmm.
that are, big companies, but they could be somewhere in the middle of the road big companies, and then being able to then, boom, you know, understand their data, one,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to uh, take the next steps based on that data. It's not
Yeah.
just that they have the data, it's what's needed to move their data forward.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like for example, like like a lot of companies don't even realize what magic can this having a database or BI can bring it to their uh like their system, right? So like it changes fast, and especially like it's like one of those things, right? Like when you have a good money, you you manage the money. But when you have like a lot of money, you like for example, like like you have like investment bankers working for you, or like you have a financial consultant who helps you, because like a bigger money, it's kind of hard to manage, like to make a quick decision, because that's where like all the expertise comes from, right? So the BI, or like having a DB, or like database, especially like for the small firms or startups, like when they're trying to gain like bigger once they like having more money in their in their account, or like once they bringing more market for them, they definitely need that kind of services, which help them to grow more bigger and make a smarter decisions. Yeah.
Yeah, that's whatever. Large companies
Mm-hmm.
don't have the ability to pivot quickly
Mm-hmm.
to service different areas that they need to focus on.
Yeah, exactly. Like for example, right? Like I can see in my case, like if I find a client, if I'm working with a client, like I would be able to go in, or like I would like or like my employees gonna go in and like get the work done, or like get the stuff done. But in a bigger case, like in a bigger companies, like there are a lot of other companies, right? Companies like Deloitte, we have companies like they probably like have a manager. It's just that they treat them it as a job and get that thing done. Or probably like their quote is bigger, their time consumption is for like implement those kind of projects and stuff would be different. And in our case, like we just consider like as we're startups, as we're like new, we take every project serious, and we just treat them as like a baby. And like how you take care of your baby, especially we're gonna treat up a client, our projects, and make sure like the work is done from like a end to end, so that the customers or the clients can make most out of it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, what's one takeaway that you would give anybody that's trying to take their expertise and put it into a company, what kind of advice would you give them?
Sorry, say that again, Travis.
So somebody that's trying to transition from,
Hmm.
say, like you transition from Wall Street into having your own company,
Hmm.
what advice would you give someone that is trying to take similar steps?
I would say like anything, right? So first of all, this is definitely a huge question, and it's so hard to answer, but I'm gonna answer from my perspective or my experience, right? I would enjoy, something which I know and which I would love to work on it, right? So as you know, like there's a lot of stuff today's world. Like even a guy who don't even have like a lot of knowledge, as long as he knows like how to do stocks or how to do cryptocurrency, they can just make money by sitting at home like and investing in there. So there's like a tons of different opportunities, like, and again, I consider like America as a land of opportunity, right? Like y'all don't know how people are in Asia, India have to compete with billions of people, right? So in our case, I ain't gonna lie, this is for real, if you have to compete the business in some other countries like Asia, India, or like outside overseas, you have to compete with thousands of people. But in our case, like as long as we have a lot of platforms out there, it can be you know uh it can be stocks, or it can be owning a liquor store, or I'm sorry, I'm not saying like a liquor, just owning a store, right? Or own having having a great restaurant, because like like a country like America have like so much land, the people out there here to enjoy anything which comes out new, and especially they believe in customer service, and they believe in it's a mouth of word, right? You did really sometimes as long as you have a good restaurant, people gonna know it, and they will definitely able to try it. So in my perspective, I would just ask people if they have to they have to if they want to go some field, or they want to, first thing they should enjoy that type of work what they want to get in, right? So for example, if I would say like a BI was the one, or that's where I started, like investment side. So most of my clients I work with are financial clients, are those clients. So that's what I started, and I do enjoy it, and I went in the direction. But every individual and every personnel is different, so they, first thing I would consider them to take to do their own research at which thing they would love to enjoy, so that they can enjoy each and every moment when they're starting their own company, or when they're doing their business in that particular platform.
I love it. I love it. So, long story short, embrace the opportunity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah,
I mean,
agreed.
I think that, I mean, if you're going out on your own, make sure it's something that you really love, and make sure that it's a passion of yours. Not only a passion of yours, but your passion to want to help other people and help other companies
Yeah,
grow. So
yeah,
I think that's
exactly.
amazing.
Ex- Thank you. Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Yeah, and you're considering the opportunities what we have. There is like a line of options, where a person can take and enjoy it. So yeah, well said. Embrace the opportunity. Exactly.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks for joining us, Mahesh. We're gonna keep this one short, but man, I would love to have you back on to talk more about the nuts and bolts of your business, and to kind of check in to see how you're doing. If you'd be willing to come back on with us.
Oh, definitely. Thanks for this. Thanks for letting me join. It's definitely, I learned a lot today, and it was good to meet other folks who were on this call. Definitely. Thank you.
That's awesome. And that is the end of the Social Share Club. This podcast, please make sure you invite some friends over so that way they can check out this podcast as well. We'll be uploading this shortly, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their day. And we'll see you next month for another episode on the Social Share Club. Take care now.